So, okay, perfect. We're on. So you are tuning in 4 o'clock in the morning.
4 o'clock in the morning. That's right, from
Yeah,
Australia.
from Australia. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to find out more about you, to hear about you, and for you to meet some of the beautiful people coming in this room today. This is powerful.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful what you're putting together too, Casey. I
Yes,
think it's great. I have my coffee to wake me up to. It's so early.
it's so hard because this is our third meeting, but this meeting I planned to be publicized so that all the nurses could kind of tune in because it's so hard. No matter how I cut the time, it's gonna be 2 or 4 o'clock somewhere in the world.
It will, that's right. But you'll have dedicated individuals who'll get up at 4 o'clock.
Yes, yes. I like you. I'm so happy. I'm so glad Jane connected us.
Me too, actually. That's right. Yeah, it was really fantastic that she did too. And I think the concept of international support, it's really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I am right on the hour at 2 o'clock, and what I'm doing is a little bit different. So I am gonna just pop you out of the screen, and as people come in, I will add them. Okay? Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay. Okay, hello nurses. My name is Casey Pacheco. I am the Executive Director of Nurses in Charge, and I have a mind that is so out there, but I believe that nurses are the change and nurses are going to make this world a better place. So I have an idea, and this is part of my idea is bringing nurses from all over the globe together so we could sit at the same table and make room for our nurses internationally to have a seat at the table. So as the nurses coming in, I just wanted to give you an introduction, and I'm not going to wait because everybody is busy. I'm just going to have the first person here. We're going to get to know her. Her name is Sonia Martin, and she is from Australia. Sonia, welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, yes. And you have worked internationally as well, right? You have.
Well, I've travelled internationally actually as part of a Churchill Fellowship to look at equity and access, how we provide equity and access to individuals who are experiencing vulnerability. So I work in the street health sector and street health and inclusion sector in Australia, and have been providing healthcare to people experiencing homelessness and living in poverty and experiencing complex trauma for the better part of a decade in Australia. So it was a fantastic opportunity to head out globally, travel to around 7 countries, 9 cities over 9 weeks, and made a lot of international connections and just looked at how we're all working in this space and how we can support each other. So, it's been quite the journey, my vision ultimately is to create an equitable, accessible healthcare system in Australia for vulnerable populations.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. I am so honored to be in your presence. You're going to do it. I know you're going to do it. Some of the countries you've been to, you mind sharing some of the countries that you went to?
Yeah, sure. So I travelled to India, Kolkata in India, and spent time with Kolkata Rescue. So looking at their work in slums and also their incredible work in HIV and leprosy clinics and women's and children's health clinics in those slums and education programs. And I went to London and spent time with the Queen's Nursing Institute and also heading out with the homelessness program groups there, providing outreach, under London Bridge and around London itself, and looking at the aspects of care, which were, everywhere I went was incredibly similar to what we're working with as well. But I also went to Lyon and Bourg-en-Bresse in France and went out with the incredible French Red Cross team, who I still remain very close to, and looked at the way they were providing healthcare. In those outreach capacities, and a lot of migrant work, and a lot of heartfelt work there as well. I went to Edinburgh as well in Scotland and looked at university models and how universities played a major part in looking at collaboration as a way to actually probably solidify positive outcomes for community, which was fantastic models there. Pharmacy-led models as well, not just nursing, not nursing-led, pharmacy-led, but also, physician assistant-led models in the US. So I went to LA and Boston in America, and I also ended up in Canada, in Toronto and Calgary, which was phenomenal. So there were all these incredible places that I went and had the opportunity. I think I sat with about 151 people to understand how they provide healthcare and how globally we can support each other.
That's absolutely incredible. That's absolutely. Hello there. We're just popping around the room. So come on in. This is very informal, but Sonia.
Sonia.
Hi, Bree. It's wonderful to see you.
We still need to catch up.
We totally do. That's right. No, that's right. I still see the incredible work that you're doing. So I saw you were coming on board, and I thought, I see her today. This will be wonderful.
Oh, I love it.
Casey, thank you so much for this.
Oh my gosh, Bree, thank you for coming. And the different time zones. I was telling her this is the third meeting. So this one is actually, we're going to put it out there because I believe all things are possible, and I want to put it out for nurses to fiercely connect with each other all around the world. So Sonia was filling me in as far as some of the places she served. And then Bree, I'm gonna ask you, but I just want to let you know, as you're speaking and people are popping in, the stage is gonna get filled up. So if you don't see me for a while, just keep talking, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Bree. So tell our audience, tell our guests, a little bit about you. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie. No. Hi, everyone. My name is Bree Laughlin, and I'm CEO and founder of Nurse Disrupted. We are a virtual nursing software company in Madison, Wisconsin. We started in 2020, bringing nursing students who are earning practicum hours through virtual nursing to our homeless shelters. So 2 years later, nursing students across 9 schools of nursing, over 400 nursing students earned practicum hours, and served and provided over 42,000 patient encounters for people experiencing homelessness. In 2022, we were asked to bring our virtual nursing software to acute care hospitals so that nurses could work from home. They could work a nice 10 to 2-hour shift, but help alleviate some of the crushing workload for bedside nurses. So flexible nursing shifts from home to lift the burden of work at the bedside. All of our projects are nurse-led, nurse-driven. It's the only way to do it, you guys. We need to be creating our own products. We need to be doing this. And so we're very proud to be creating a platform that nurses using the platform can also be part of the iterative agile development process of the software and solution.
Absolutely phenomenal. Thank you for showing up. I know you guys are so busy, but I appreciate your time. This is a gift. This is the revolution we're starting here. So thank you for being here. Katie, I just was telling the girls as people come in from different parts of the world, I'm just going to have you guys introduce yourself as you kept coming. The screen might get filled up, but Katie, it's your turn. Go ahead. Tell us who you are.
Yeah, it's hard to follow that one, Bree. That was really nice. So I'm Katie Harris, owner and CEO of Nursepreneurs, and I started this, oh my gosh, about 8 years ago, just, being frustrated on the hospital path and not being able to kind of break through and just enact the change that I wanted. I worked neurosurgery for 20 years and never felt like I was really getting anywhere or able to really help people. So moved out into the space where I could help people to get started in their own business. So I've been working with nurses to start their businesses. We've focused a lot in the wellness space, which makes me super happy. And, the patients are super happy and we can actually help them and prevent them from getting to the point of needing the hospital in the first place. So it's a wonderful space, and just really trying to support the nurses in launching the business. And now we're really focused on how do we keep them sustained in business with the marketing that they need to do. So it's a completely different mindset. But the nurses, I mean, if you can work in the hospital, you can run a business. It's just you have the fortitude and you have the what you need to delegate, relegate, and work on a shoestring budget. So
Absolutely. That is absolutely, you guys are so incredible. I am so honored to have you here. I'm so honored that I can pull all of you guys into a room together. This is absolutely incredible. And let me tell you why you're here. So, Casey over here, over here in Dreamland, have this vision. So, my vision pairs with Dr. Nayampu. She's the founder of Nurses in Charge. We are a grassroots movement. So, basically, it's not just registered nurses, but we take students, we take CNAs, LPNs, like wherever you are on the nursing spectrum, you realize some countries they don't even have a way to promote, like to further your nursing education. So we don't just limit nursing to just registered nurses. We open it up, and we're here to celebrate nurses, to empower them, right? And to connect them with each other. Because we believe that nurses connected in their power have the ability to transform the healthcare system globally. And that's our intention. And we know that there are a lot of things that we don't know, and we're moving on love and passion. And we have just a vibrant community growing for Nurses in Charge. But I came up with an idea, and I said, okay, let me call in my friends who know way more than I do, and let me get them in a room and let's discuss this idea. So the idea is usually with a nonprofit like us, we would usually raise funds. We have a lot. Nurses in Charge was started in Africa, so we have a lot of African people, countries, continent, like different people around the continent. And my thought was, we're usually going to these different organizations and institutions to ask and request for money, for sponsorship, for funding. What if nurses created, and what if we filtered out into having nurses having their own economic power, where we would be the ones together collectively giving scholarships, giving funding, building hospitals, grassroots. What if we bought our own products? And this week, what if all the nurses products were funded by nurses who were creative, who had their own business? What if we had some of the so because we understand each other. And that, not saying that there aren't people out there, but I'm telling you, I met a nurse who's building a hospital. Dr. Nayempu and her family, they have orphanage. They support so many people out from their nursing salaries. Nurses are doing amazing. Actually, I hope he gets the African connection is a little bad, but Balaam, he is in Uganda, and it's just him and another nurse, and they are over there working in the rules. We need to support our fellow nurses. And
Right.
I am starting this movement like never before. And it is my goal to have as many of these we can talk on email, but I think the power of being able to see each other and see the sincerity and the authenticity, and then also speaking with our other nurses and saying, hey, do you even know how to start a business in your community? Our nurses in Liberia, the government didn't pay them for a whole month. The government didn't pay them. They were working when they had a fire. They were out there. So this this calling on nurses, we understand as nurses that we need support. We need to support each other, but we can't keep waiting for other people. We have to really recognize that we have power as a collective. So that's me ranting and raving.
Yeah.
That's the vision of forming this international nursing chamber of commerce. And my all the people that I invited here today, and this is the third meeting. So we've had people from the International Nurses Association. She's actually supposed to be here, so I don't know if she might pop in later on. We've had nurses who own schools, nurses who own hospitals, CNAs. I even invited a CNA who I think she owned an oil field or something like that. But
That's wild.
I just
I love
found
that.
people and bring them
Yeah.
together. So let me know your thoughts. This is just me talking. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, Casey, I think what you're saying not only makes a lot of sense, it's timely. I just got off another phone call with an American nursing, a well-known American association for nurses, and I get a lot of phone calls on infusing innovation and entrepreneurship into the message. I think your idea of having a chamber of commerce is great, but I mean, I will say we don't need to wait to be invited to tables. We need to set our own table. And I do agree with, in the United States, there's 4 million of us. And so the idea of having a chamber of commerce is very possible. I think that it is going to take messaging to help nurses see themselves as business people. We've been advocates, we've been members of associations, even nursing associations, but we do need to get better at talking about money, not just raising for nonprofits, but in being revenue generators, the creators of products, but also understanding how to become economic forces, whether it's together. So I think that this is timely. I love your idea of a chamber of commerce. It's something that hasn't dawned on me, but I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea, and I love your dream state, Casey, because I think everyone in this room also lives in that space as well. So, quite often a lot of people need to, see a concept first before they believe in it. And I would say, the people in this, international committee tend to believe in things before and produce them. They can see them in their mind first, and we create from that space. I think it's really important. I know, that in Australia there is also a lot of space. A lot of education that's needed in business and that economic space for nurses. It's not something that we're taught about in universities to head out and go and create a business at all. So, it's very difficult at times, that entrepreneurial space. So I think it's a fantastic idea. And I think more and more after, traveling internationally and listening to nurses and being on committees and being a nurse advocate myself, there are so many more nurses that are trying to or are stepping into these spaces where they do want to have more conversations, but still not sure how to have a conversation in relation to finance or how to create change or have a voice. And I think economically, this is a really great opportunity to take charge, and I love it. So I'm really excited about it. But also helps us raise our voices as nurses. And then the exciting thing is we get to choose the language. And there's power in language, and there's power in the nursing voice internationally. So, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I'm excited about where this is going to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would echo that too. And just, I would say, I think people will flock to this because of, that it's international. I've certainly have had nurses from Africa, contact us and, can we help and stuff. And we have helped, a couple of the nurses over there, but it is amazing what they can do with almost virtually nothing, and you're just like, how did you even get this far with what you've done? Like, it's amazing, and it's inspiring. So, but I would say, kind of what Sonia and Bree are saying, is that the nurses definitely need help. And what I've really seen in the entrepreneurial world is that it's definitely a mindset, and it's a leadership mindset. And when you come into a business, you're coming into a leadership role. You're like self-appointing yourself, saying, I have the answer, look at me, listen to me, do what I tell you to do. And it's not a role we're accustomed to in the hospital. And if we maintain that kind of like hospital mindset, those nurses are doomed to fail in business if they can't make that transition out. And I think we need to help them with that transition. And it's how we should be in the hospital, but I feel like it's kind of like we're beaten down to a certain level. I don't think it's possible to change the system anymore, which is why I'm not in it. So it's we're just trying to capture nurses as they come out, and with that realization they can't actually make any change from within. They have to make the change outside of it.
And I feel like it's almost a political statement in a way when, for us or for me heading out and creating, seeing a gap in relation to homelessness and access to healthcare and equity, and setting up One Bridge to head out and provide that care. I think nurses are fantastic at seeing gaps and realising that, there isn't funding for it, or that we don't have an economic model of funding in different countries for our own services. In a lot of countries, that they haven't caught up yet to that. So the opportunity, to head out, make change, I think is a political statement, because we're saying, look, governments, this is missed, and we're actually going to step in and create the access that we know is needed. And then the opportunity to come together as well and do this, I think you're right. Yeah, it's groups coming together like this and involving people that want to be involved, and taking that element of that assertion of healthcare and that power back for community, and sharing that with each other is huge. It's huge. It'll be a huge impact.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you for not calling me nuts. I appreciate it. And I believe that when Florence Nightingale set out to set nursing as a profession, I believe she was going against unimaginable odds. Not only were nurses of themselves not in a position to be nurses to be professionals, right? But she also was she was a woman, she was not married, she was in the middle of war. There were so many odds against her, but she was so dedicated. And today we have a profession called nursing. And I believe that it is time for us as nurses to rise up and say, okay, against all odds, against what it looks like currently, we can come together as people who have resources that Florence Nightingale did not have, and support nurses all over the world. That when, I'm not praying that COVID-19 happens again, but if it did happen, I'm thinking, this is not going to happen tomorrow, and it's not going to be an easy road. But 10 years from now, this conversation would have been the beginning of something amazing. Because when governments and people are, looking around and wondering reacting, right? We would have had steady progress in creating a nursing system where our nurses could be supported. During COVID-19, everybody's looking around, right? Who's going to make the decision? Who's going to be leaders, right? I am not talking bad about anybody. I believe everybody do the best they can with what they have. I'm only pulling us to say we are as a collective, we have to make decisions for the next generation. We have an opportunity here to set and say what our profession is going to be like in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We could make these decisions right now, and we have each other. And when I say each other, not just in the United States, but we have each other all around the globe, because we have the internet. We have we have these resources. So to not act, and I may dial a hopeless dreamer, and I may put everything on the line, getting, nurses in charge and nurses together. But at the end of the day, just having the just having the dream and holding the dream right now. I'm holding the dream. I'm holding the dream and bringing the people together. And I believe this is my purpose. But I also believe that there are a lot of nurses out there who are called, and they've been beat down so much that they have not had the chance to stand up in their courage and act confidently towards the future. And this is why I'm putting this out there, so the nurses can know this is the time. Hey, we are the change. This is the signal.
Yeah.
Join us, because together we can do amazing things. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, I mean, Casey, I agree, but I've got to put out there, I mean, nursing throughout the past 200 years, there have been so many nurse entrepreneurs. Florence Nightingale, we should be, right after, at the same time, and arguably, maybe the founder of nursing is Mary Sue Cole in the Caribbean War, right? But then we have Lillian Wall, the founder of the public health care in the United States. We have Clara Barton, the founder of American Red Cross. Then we go up. Singer has not a great history, but she went to jail for educating people about sexual health. But then nurses have throughout history been the founders of hospitals. I don't know how many Catholic hospitals I go into, and it was founded by 15 nuns. I think that the difference, and Katie, I'm really interested in your thoughts on this, is that a lot of nursing work has been nonprofit, non-revenue generating. If you really want to create something sustaining, and this is for nurses who want a different path as well, right? If you're get away from the bedside and you have 4 kids and an 80-year-old mom, your path away from the bedside is your nursing career as beyond the bedside, and there is an economic path. So that's why I like you coming down to, there being a chamber of commerce, that we talk about, what it is, what the broader path of nursing is. I've also drawing up on my whiteboard in talking about the reasons why different people create innovative solutions or businesses. And I have the software developer, and I was putting it in terms of the CEO, right? The CEO that's a software developer is laser focused on the software. And the CEO that's the MBA is laser focused on the sale. And the CEO that is a nurse is laser focused on the problem that they're solving. Nurses need to get way better at sales and the economics of things, but the whole, reason we're creating solutions and starting companies, it tends to be, not to stereotype all nurses, but it does tend to be because there's a problem they want to solve, and they have to put together software teams, they have to figure out sales, and they have to figure out financial projections. But I do, I think that, the economics of nursing and nurse-built businesses are, the power of it is that we're solving real problems. There's an expertise that the rest of the world is very hungry for. Right now, every software startup wants to solve the nurse workforce issue, and they have no idea what's going on. But I think that if we're and there are a lot of organizations right now trying to stoke nursing entrepreneurship. How can you create something that's lasting? I think that there has to be an economic path beyond, fundraising and nonprofit. Just a thought. But Katie, I'm absolutely curious on, your thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely. And nursing as kind of a nonprofit or, a profitable type of profession, it has been like a construct that was created in the early 1900s. I mean, nurses were entrepreneurs. Like, they used to show up like everybody else and get paid for doing their consults, and get paid for doing whatever. And if you think about it, we're the only group in the hospital that isn't actually paid, a fee for service. I mean, even the bedpan gets paid per service, right? Like, we're tied to the bed, the cost of the bed, which is why they, we're basically treated as a commodity. So if the bed's not full, they don't need you, you're furloughed, you're this, they're that. And that has become part of our like psychology of what we're worth. You don't have any clue what you're worth. And they don't, a lot of the nurses especially the ones stuck in the hospital, don't understand the amount of value that they bring to the table. And to Bree, to your point, like we have a lot of nurses that started up concierge nurse businesses, and basically, they freelance nursing out in the community, and people will pay like literally $150 an hour to have a nurse just come and tuck them in or listen to them, or that is like incredibly powerful, the fact that they can do that. And we have 7-figure nurses that are doing that. I mean, it's crazy. And it's what we do. Like that's what we do in the hospital. But the actual value of that is way more than what they let us believe it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And I think there's, I love what you're saying there. I think, there's for me, there's two issues that come up in my head, and, talking about not-for-profits, and every time, we talk about what I do, it's absolutely assumed I'm running a charity actually. And it's not a charity. So being educated and educating nurses in relation to, that old concept of bread and roses, like bread and roses for all nurses. So, being able to actually, run a business and make it sustainable, and not-for-profits need to be sustainable too. But whether it's a social enterprise or a private company or whatever it is, there are multiple business options, and having that opportunity to bring in, money for bread, for food, for yourself, your family, and your living, and then also the roses aspect, which is dignity, so that we can help take care of ourselves, because without us, things don't continue in the way they should. So I think there's two things that come up for me. It's the economic model for nurses and what we can make sustainable for ourselves. And we are incredible at stepping into those spaces. And I think, was it Bree, you said, we've been entrepreneurs for a very long time, and solving problems. And, the other component is the economic model from government, where we quite often feel like a labour cost, and we can absolutely be shifted or removed, or those things. And I loved what you're saying, Katie, around the scarcity ideas that we have about ourselves, and to be able to actually take more control and step into a different space is really significant. But also to advocate for adequate, so beyond adequate though, remuneration for the work that we're doing, and having a system, and an economic system within our own countries in relation to remuneration for nurses, rather than it being a wage or that labour space. Yeah, so I think it's really significant, but teaching around business and knowing that we'll be financially okay as a majority women, female group, but also to be able to have a sustainable business, whether it's a charity, a not-for-profit, a social enterprise, or a private company, whether it's you're developing products or services, it's important to be able to have that business prowess, I suppose, and step into that space, and then teach others about how they can do this too.
Well, ladies, this conversation has been wonderful. I wrote down some of the thoughts that you brought up, such as having education for nurses about business, starting from nursing school, and nurses solving problems, which we do very well, but not just putting it in the not profit or nonprofit space or charity space, but actually getting paid for those problems and gaps that we see. So those were my takeaways. Did I miss anything? Did anybody have any other takeaways besides that, or points that was brought up? No? Okay. Okay. So moving forward, I definitely appreciate your time. And before you build, if you're building anything, you first have to know what you're working with, right? What are the components to build this whether it's a chamber of commerce or just empowering nurses economically. I think developing programs around business for nurses, I think they will be very interested in that. I think hearing this conversation, I am just so curious to know what other nurses have to think. So, nurses, if you're listening to this, please, please, please put in the comments below your thoughts, your ideas, your questions for any of these ladies here. Please put in your comments because we want to get this off the ground and moving. Something that I would say is when you look at the businesses today, um, I don't want to quote numbers because I don't want to say it correctly, but I've heard it said that there is a large amount of businesses in the United States that are not profitable, right? So even businesses outside, not because somebody's been running a business for years, mean that their business is actually where it should be or where it needs to be. So I just want to put that there because sometimes as nurses we feel so overwhelmed, like, oh, I've been in business for a long time and it hasn't worked for me. But not because it hadn't worked doesn't mean that it cannot work. And then I would also say that if you look at many of the businesses that are being run successfully and they're really huge, I saw a chart and you actually see most of the holding companies. There are just a few holding companies that hold so many of these businesses. So what I propose, what I am saying, and I don't know if I'm out there crazy, but what I'm saying is you look at these companies like Disney or BlackRock or whoever, and they hold all these companies. Why can't we as nurses come together and say, okay, let's have several companies around the world where as a chamber we really support them and we want to make sure that they thrive and we want to make sure that even if it's we go into partnership and we part own them, like why can't we, right? So that's just me because I think in possibilities, and I sometimes my head is in the clouds, so I need people to pull my feet down to the ground. But I just believe that this together as nurses, we are way more powerful than we think. I agree that mindset is a big thing. Our mindset is has to switch, but I also believe the culture in nursing where um, just you look in a hospital setting and you'll have a nurse and she's her patient is like having cardiac problems and somebody say, oh, why can't you read the strip, whereas the doctor comes in, knows nothing, and he calls up his cardiology buddy and say, hey, what's going on? They do referrals, but we are so hard on each other, right? So I think the culture in saying, hey, if you're better at this than me, let's work together. Let's help each other out, and not just in city or town or community or even country, but internationally around the world. Let's tap into some of our nurses around the world. I don't know if you saw yesterday, I had an excellent interview with Nadasi. He's our African committee chair. And he has excellent, I told him he's Nelson Mandela in the making. So if you've seen it, his ideas will blow your mind. And tomorrow, I have an interview with Dina. She's our European chair. She's from Italy. Her ideas will blow your mind. So if we can come together, hi, Kay.
Hi, finally. I was walking, trying to look for signal. Sorry. But thank you so much. And thank you, Casey, and everyone. Hello. Sorry for coming in later.
No, no, no. Were you able to hear the conversation?
Yes, I was able to in and out. It was in and out, but then I was like, finally, I got a signal. Then I try to walk around some more to look for it. Yeah, zero. My area is right now is dead zone, so I just accepted the new role. That's why. Okay.
Well, if you heard anything, did
Yeah.
you have anything to say? I don't want to miss your chance to speak.
No, wonderful people in here. I'm like surprised. Hi, Bree. I've heard of you. Katie and Sonia. Hi.
Hi.
And
I'm
and
looking, Kate, I've been to your YouTube channel.
Oh, I do. Oh, YouTube. I'm
Is
not
that
even.
right? With the travel, maybe.
Yeah, the
The,
Nurse Hacker, I've uploaded some, but that was a while back. I got busy with I was, preoccupied for the whole year just spending my time in advocating for the international nursing workforce.
okay.
So yeah, so that was just me doing something else outside YouTube.
Well, we should catch up, Kate, for sure, on international work. International nurse workforce. It's interesting. I've been getting more phone calls inbound phone calls from different nurse leaders, and there's some interesting things happening. So I'd love to catch up with you.
I would love to talk to you about it. I
Okay.
was innocent too, a year ago, more than a year ago, and all I did was, I quit my job. I quit my job and I said, this is important. This is public safety.
Yeah.
And it needs to be done. Nobody wants to do it. Everybody's scared to do it. And I said, someone has to do it.
Yeah.
And I took that role, without force, of course, voluntarily. And yes, so I was able to get more information by being, freeing myself and being able to translate that into nursing leadership, that information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. That's excellent. Kay, I would like to connect you with some people, so I probably will have some messages with you. I was hoping they would be here today, but you're doing
Yeah.
amazing. You're doing amazing.
You guys are, and I appreciate all of you. And, one thing that's especially important there is, when you talk about being, nurses in business, nurses being put in a financial situation that they don't have to choose their morals or their jobs, it sets them free and it creates a better atmosphere to everyone. Like I did, I am not scared to do this because
Yep.
my advocacy is because I'm not threatened by anyone telling me you need to quiet down or you'll be out of your job, right? So I'm not into that situation, and I think that's most important is when we help our nurses succeed, they're in a position that they will do the right thing because they are not threatened of their livelihood. So that's what I think that's the biggest impact there for me. That's why I'm able to do what I'm doing. And everyone.
That is
Yeah.
excellent. That is excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you all for coming here. I am so honored. Thank you for paying me attention and showing up and clearing your schedules to be here. This is going to be a quarterly meeting. So, 4 times a year, I will be messaging you just for some time. And as we keep going, I know our group will grow. And I appreciate all the feedback and all the love that you have. I just am so grateful for you guys. Does anybody, this is Nurses Week, so I'm just going to go round robin
Happy
around the room. Happy
Happy
Nurses
Nurses Week.
Week. Please just share one word of advice, anything that you can have to tell nurses out there. Um, Sonia, I see you first on the screen. Do you have any words?
I think one of the biggest and best things, and I think, actually what you're doing, Casey, in this space and is significant because one of the biggest piece of advice is to find your tribe, to find the group that will support your ideas, to find people who aren't just agreeing with everything you're saying or, at that end of the scale, what you're saying, but the people in between. So when you have an idea, and when you think incredible at doing that, nurses, to find people that go, that's an amazing idea, and they have your back and they also challenge you as well. That's really significant, so that you can get that constructive feedback and succeed. Succeed for yourself, succeed for nurses internationally and everything we stand for, and succeed for the person that we're caring for. So a tribe is really important, and hopefully, we're able to be that tribe too for people who don't feel like they have one at the moment. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Up next is Bree. Bree, do you have any closing words?
Yeah, well, I second what Sonia has to say. I mean, we're only going to be able to move through creating the International Chamber of Commerce and breaking down some barriers if we find our tribe and we work together, and it's great to have an international opportunity to do this. I'm going to get right back on my soapbox that I've been getting up into. Nurses should be creating products and should be leading companies. We are problem focused. The world is looking at solving problems for nursing, but not for us, without us. So sharpen up your business acumen, figure out what a financial forecast sheet is. I don't care. Start thinking of not only the problem that you're solving, the way that you can solve it, and start Googling your ChatGPT product market fit and start talking about the dollar, because it's going to be the power of our, it's going to be the financial power that's going to give us the megaphone. And when we talk about, like Sonia, the nonprofit work that we continue to do, some of us have to be making the money in order to pour the money into it. So nurses are terrible about talking about sales and cash. If we're going to do this, there has to be a contingency that does it and has a commitment to it, so that we can continue to not only emotionally and tribally support each other, but that there actually is a viable path to growth.
Excellent.
Not
Thank
very
you.
fuzzy, is it?
No, we love you. We love it. We love it. We need it.
Just get out my drum and just beat it down the street.
Up next, Katie.
I always tell my son, and I tell my audience a lot too, that courage is being afraid and doing it anyway. And that's what I always say to the nurses, like, yeah, it's scary. You don't have it all figured out. You'll never have it figured out. It'll never be finished, but it's a work in progress, and it's a legacy, and it's something that that you're always working towards, and it's fun, and there's so much on the other side, and you just have to have the courage to believe that there's something waiting for you on the other side. So
Thank you. And last but not least, Kay.
I would just recommend, like, a lot of people to, I would say, always listen to everyone. Keep your ears open to everyone, but you don't need to follow everyone. You need to craft your recipe to success. I'm a traveling nurse for many years. I keep my mouth shut most of the time, because what I want to do is I observe, I listen, and I learn. Like I said, 10 times you listen, 1 time you speak. That's how you're going to learn. And when you keep your eyes and ears open, and that's how you will grow exponentially. And there will be challenges on the way, and there will be things that you will not understand right now. But later on, after you start your recipe, you're crafting your own, success recipe, you will realize that every single thing that happens to you may be a challenge, may be a downfall. You never give up. Just do what your goals are, and make sure that your goal is not something for yourself. Your ultimate goal should be really something that you're doing for other people, that you're not generating anything, because that's the ultimate success for without anything in return.
Oh my gosh, this has been so amazing. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, panel. International, I call you International Business Advisory Group. That's the label I give you. I thank you so much. And please keep in touch with each other. I know it's so easy to get busy. I'm just pulling people that I just know are awesome together, and I just want you guys to stay in touch, because you're so precious. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Casey.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Whatever you do, thank you very much.